McDonald's International Mixed Pairs continues now. We promised you the score for Brandy Johnson and Lance Ringnauld. Their combined total is 19.225, with Brandy Johnson getting a 9.875 for her vault, Lance receiving a 9.35 for his performance on the parallel bars. That's good enough to put them in a tie for third place at this juncture. Of course, there are several more pairs still to compete, and one of the tougher pairs to compete is the tandem that's about to begin right now. From the Soviet Union, it's Olesya Dudnik and Vitali Marinich. The warm-ups are concluding at the vaulting horse, so that's the clue that Dudnik will be vaulting in this first round. Her partner, Marinich, will be going on the still rings as soon as the warm-ups are concluded. Again, the women must compete first, and for those of you just joining us, it's combined scores that advance you into the next round. There are 16 pairs in round 1. 8 pairs will compete in round 2, with only 3 surviving to the third and final round.
And we're now ready to resume our...
You'll notice that almost every girl starts with vault, and the reason they do is it's a very secure event, and you can almost guarantee a good score, and you have 2 chances to do it. When I competed, I used to like to start on rings because it was a real tough event. I'm surprised that not more male gymnasts are doing rings.
Olesya Dudnik, 5 feet tall, 86 pounds. She's from Kirovgrad. She's been in the sport for a little over 8 years.
And once again, another round-off entry vault. Interesting layout, Tsukahara. The other name for that vault is the Yurchenko, from the Soviet gymnast that first did it. I saw her do it for the first time at the World Cup in 1982. Big surprise when we saw it.
She, by the way, was a silver medalist in the American Cup this past weekend.
Dudnik doesn't have as much power as Brandy Johnson on this vault. She's very good technically, but this doesn't have that sheer block off the horse.
In the 1988 People's Republic of Korea Friendship Competition, she finished first on the balance beam and first in floor exercise. Should she survive to the next rounds, those are her next 2 events, floor X and balance beam. Last year, she was the junior champion of the Soviet Union.
And she does the exact same vault, a lot better. Boy, perfect landing.
First, just a warm-up. And that certainly is the beauty of doing 2 vaults. You can make adjustments and improve.
In men's gymnastics, it's all or nothing. You only have 1 chance.
Well, actually, it's that way with all the other events. You don't get 2 chances at beam or bars or any of it. So
absolutely,
it is a unique apparatus for the women. All right, Vitali Marinich, gold medal in the rings.
Marinich was groomed through the European Junior Championships. So you always see the top young Soviet gymnasts competing in the Junior European Championships. So if you want to know who's going to make it in the future, just watch that competition. He did very, very well in that meet.
Excellent body for a gymnast, too. He's just 5 feet 4.5 inches tall and 117 pounds, which is hard to believe because on his bio sheet, he wrote down that he likes ice cream, pizza, and spaghetti. Hardly the diet of that washboard stomach.
Well, you got a carbo load before these events. Incredible strength sequence, right to an iron cross. Backup rise to a plant. This is just loaded with strength. That skill's called a Li Ning, first and after the famous Chinese gymnast Li Ning a few years ago. Marinich presses to a handstand. She does what's called a Yamawaki. Really seen in full for the first time at the Olympics in 1984. There's a giant to a handstand. That's a required move. You have to go from a handstand to a handstand somewhere in the performance. And a double layout dismount.
Fine performance, and this is going to be a tough tandem to beat. Vitali Marinich and Olesya Dudnik from the Soviet Union.
The dismount that Marinich does is pretty much the standard dismount on rings. Most of the gymnasts dismount with a double layout because it's a difficult D-level skill, highest level of difficulty, and it's easy to land.
We'll take a look at the second vault of Olesya Dudnik.
She knew she had to do a better one, and she really zeroed in on it this time. Good lift off the horse. A real crisp turn on the full twist. And plenty of time to see the ground, and lands perfectly.
They did find a flaw in that vault, however. Instead of a perfect 10, she received a 9.9, which in first round scores would tie her with Phoebe Mills. However, it's how she and her partner do. So So we are waiting for the score for his performance. 19.50 is the combined score. His individual score for the ring was 9.6. So 19.5 catapults them into first place. We are moving now back to the vault, where Romania is represented by Isabella Lacatus. Lacatus, born in 1976. She was only 12 years old. Hard to think when you put that in perspective of Romanian gymnastics that Nadia Comaneci was just coming on the scene then, and this girl is just being born.
Oh, it's incredible. You know, there really is a changing of the guard right now. They're purposely putting these really young gymnasts in here because she'll be 16 years old in the 1992 Olympic Games, just barely qualifying in age to compete there.
You must be 15 for the women to compete in international gymnastics. Lacatus is 4 feet 6 inches tall, another giant.
And once again, a round-off entry vault. Ooh, she really must have slipped her hand on that horse. She got no lift off the horse. Of course, fortunately, she has one more chance. It seemed to me that as her hand hit the horse, it just slipped, and she didn't get any lift.
Well, she looked loose to me going into that. Her body posture before her hand even touched the horse, her knees were bent, and she just looked soft instead of...
She also twisted very, very soon off the horse. She needs to establish that lift first. Notice that as her hands hit the horse, right away, she's twisting.
A couple of things led into that. I didn't think her run was particularly powerful, so she does get a second chance. This is her first international competition. Kind of a testament to that is the fact that she brought her music, which is required on cassette. She brought it on a reel-to-reel tape. She's new on the international scene and having to learn very quickly. The 1988 junior champion of Romania, Isabella Lacatus.
Here she goes again. Much, much better. She just needs to get more power. She's only 12 years old. As she develops, she'll be able to get that well under her belt.
And in a vault like that, you can really see where upper body strength is so important. She just needs a little bit more muscle all the way around.
Yeah, and sometimes you can work as hard as you can, but you just need a few more years. Maturity and age can do it to you to give you that extra strength.
But experience will certainly play a factor into that. And she's just 12 years of age, and this is certainly a valuable experience for her. Now she is teamed with Nicolae Bejenaru. He is 20 years of age. And oddly enough for this man, the Olympics were his first major competition.
And I'll tell you, I know how he feels. My very first competition that I wore a USA on my chest was the World Gymnastics Championships. And boy, you are nervous out there. He is a very solid gymnast. He mounted with a beautiful full-in pike into a very nice second tumbling pass. There's a handspring front flip, bounder front flip. Very sure on his feet.
Let me elaborate on something that you said. You started off at the World Championships. This man started off at the Olympics. The reason that happens is you qualify for international teams through trials. And maybe you qualified the year before in 13th place or 15th place, and finally it's your turn to really make the team, and shazam, the next big international meet is the Olympics or the World Championships, and that's how that happens. It isn't some crazy coach who says, hey, Pete, we want to put you in the Olympics.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, I was 13th in the United States at the first trials, and the second one I moved up to 6th place to put me on the team. I didn't even know what I was getting myself into. It's very solid, beautiful double back dismount, perfect landing. He'll get a very good score on that. Now here's his second tumbling pass. It's a front flip, walk out, into a round-off back handspring, a layout with a 1.5 twist immediately into a punch front. Very, very difficult. That's a D-level skill, the highest level of difficulty. And here's his last tumbling pass. It's a very good round-off back handspring, double back flip. Fairly standard dismount, but he does it quite well. His knees are close and tight together.
The women's score for Isabella
perfect landing.
Of Romania, 9.5.
Isabella Lacatus did much better on her second vault, obviously, than her first, because she really wiped out.
You know, as we were talking about the lack of height, for example, and weight on uneven bars, the same is true on vaulting. It needs a lot of weight in order to get that board down. And it's really hard to get a lot of lift off that board if you don't weigh very much.
Right, if you don't push it down, it doesn't send you back up. And for that vault, she received a 9.55. That's her half of the combined score of 19.05. His half is 9.50. So the 9.5 and the 9.55 add up to 19.05. We'll be back with more mixed pairs after this.